It began with a smiling man who seemed to have everything. A loving wife, 2 beautiful daughters, a picture-perfect home, and a life that looked flawless from the outside. But behind that calm, polished exterior, something was breaking. This is the story of Christopher Hale, who believed he could bury his secrets as easily as he buried the people who loved him most. In the summer of 2018, Frederick, Colorado, was an ordinary, quiet town where everyone knew each other's names. Christopher was the kind of neighbor who waved when you passed, mowed his lawn every Sunday, and seemed impossibly normal. His wife, Sarah, filled their social media with family photos, smiling selfies, and little videos of their 2 daughters, Ella and Grace, giggling in the backyard. To anyone watching, they were the embodiment of happiness. But happiness, as it turns out, can be staged. Behind those smiling photos, their marriage was unraveling. Sarah was exhausted, 2 pregnancies, endless bills, and a husband who had grown distant. Christopher was distracted, detached, and hiding a secret that would soon turn deadly. He'd fallen for someone else, a woman he met through work, a fleeting affair that made him feel alive again. What started as emotional escape soon became an obsession. And in his mind, there was no way to have both: the family and the fantasy. August 13th, 2018, the last morning Sarah and the girls were seen alive. Christopher later told police he had no idea where they'd gone, that he'd woken up to an empty house. But neighbors would remember his strange calmness, his mechanical movements, his blank stare when reporters asked, "If your family is out there, what do you want to tell them?" He blinked, looked down, and said, "Please come home." His voice didn't shake. His eyes didn't water. It was the first clue that something was deeply wrong. When Sarah's friend reported her missing, police arrived almost immediately. The front door was locked. Her phone, purse, and car were all still there. Nothing looked disturbed except the feeling in the air. As officers questioned Christopher, their body cameras recorded his nervous laughter, his shallow breathing, his constant need to control the conversation. He agreed to take a polygraph test. The agent administering it leaned forward and said, "You know you'll fail if you're lying, right?" Christopher smiled, said, "Yeah," and failed spectacularly. Hours later, he broke. He whispered that he lost control, that there had been an argument, that Sarah had hurt the children, and he'd just reacted. But that was another lie in a mountain of lies. The truth was far worse. He had smothered his daughters after strangling his wife, all in the quiet of their home, before loading their bodies into his work truck. He drove to an oil site miles away and buried his wife in a shallow grave before lowering his daughters into oil tanks, trying to erase what he'd done in a place no one would ever think to look. When investigators found the bodies, the world stopped. Even the most hardened detectives struggled to process what they were seeing. And when Christopher stood in court, the room was filled with disbelief. How could a man who looked so normal, so calm, so suburban commit something so monstrous? The answer lay not in rage, but in emptiness. He wanted a new life, a clean slate, and he believed that the only way to start over was to destroy everything that stood in his way. During the trial, prosecutors revealed the truth of his obsession. Endless messages to his lover, online searches about how to start a new life, and how to lie detector test works. His phone records painted a chilling picture of a man who planned not just murder, but erasure. Yet even in prison, he continued to write letters claiming he was sorry, that it just happened. But nothing just happens when you dig graves for your children. Years later, psychologists studying his case found something even darker, pattern among those who commit family annihilations. They're not driven by hate, but by a twisted form of self-preservation. They see their families not as loved ones, but as obstacles to their new identity. They destroy them to preserve their image, to stay in control. In that sense, Christopher wasn't unique. He was the mirror of something quietly terrifying. The ability of an ordinary person to mask absolute evil behind normalcy. The house still stands in Frederick, empty, with its walls whispering what really happened that night. Neighbors say lights flicker for no reason. Some claim they still hear the faint laughter of children through the trees. But what remains isn't ghostly, it's moral. Because behind every perfect photo, behind every fake smile, someone may be quietly convincing themselves that their lies can stay buried. Christopher Hale will die in prison. His daughters and wife rest in peace. And the world learns something painful through his story, that darkness doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it smiles from across the street. Sometimes one wrong choice can destroy a lifetime. Learn from their story. Choose kindness. Choose life.
This was just the beginning. The most mysterious and shocking crime stories are still ahead. Subscribe to Crime Flow Narratives and be among the first to uncover what comes next.